This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Just want to say real quickly, guys, that this stream is powered by BetUS. Make sure to go and check out BetUS today, our best sports books and casino. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We have a great show for you. We want to talk about a bunch of different things here. Cody, how you doing, friend?
Doing good, man. It was a busy Tuesday, a lot going on, but it was a nice Tuesday, man. It was perfect weather. We had practice today. So for those of you who don't know, I help coach football, and it was a perfect day. I mean, honestly, in mid-70s, I think, somewhere around there. Sun wasn't too awful. Of course, it got hot right when football practice started, but for the most part, it was fairly mild weather today, been the last couple days. So it's kind of like I think I've seen some people say it's like the fake fall. It's like the first fall where it feels like fall, then it'll get hot again, and then it'll fall for sure. So, but yeah, no, I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, same, dude. I mean, yeah, it was a beautiful day today. So obviously blessed for that. Just got off of Roundtable Sports, doing a stream over there. So again, everyone that is tuning in, be sure to like the stream, guys. Helps it get out to more people. And also make sure to comment in the comment section. And also make sure to subscribe, guys. We're on our journey to trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. And you guys can help us get there. We're just over 1,000 subscribers away from doing so. The best way to do that is to be able to hit subscribe if you guys haven't already.
Yep.
Thank you guys again so much.
Derek, we just today eclipsed over 19.8, just so if people are curious. We just today got over that mark. So under 200 subs away from, 18.8.
Yep. So less than 200 subs from 19,000.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So under 200 subs now from 19,000, which is crazy. And obviously, I've heard you, if you've been on this show and this podcast, you've heard us say, we are looking to get to 20K throughout the course of the 2024 regular season. Hopefully, y'all will be able to help us with that. That is kind of our in-season goal. And we've set goals like this before, and y'all have been so great, and you have helped us shatter those goals up to this point. So definitely excited, man. Definitely excited for where we're headed. And obviously, football is just that much closer now. And Colts had their final preseason game this Thursday. It's a little bit different. Of course, Derek, the one time we have a game that's not on a Tuesday, the Colts play. That's how it always goes. But regardless, I'm excited that we finally are able to put the preseason behind us and start to look towards roster cuts, regular season, all that kind of stuff. So really excited for that.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into the topics of today, guys, we'll kind of discuss a little bit of practice today and other Colts news and what we're looking forward to before the game on Thursday. And we also have we also have a video talking about that game as well. We'll do a preview, and we'll probably have it up tomorrow at some point. But before we get into it, guys, just want to say, as we said at the beginning of this stream, wanted to say that we are a part of the Roundtable Sports Network. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a real quick commercial here for them and where you can find us there.
Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST, Roundtable Sports, real coverage from real fans.
That's right, guys. You guys can check us out every Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST on the AFC South Roundtable, where I go up against some of your favorite AFC South content creators every week during the season. So, Colts fans, I see a couple of you in the chat that were in there earlier, holding it down. I appreciate you guys for hopping in there. There was more Colts fans in that stream than there has been in quite a while over at Roundtable Sports. So I appreciate you guys doing that. But the best way you can help us is make sure you're subscribing to the Roundtable Sports Network and also subscribing to the AFC South Roundtable and checking out all the content and the streams over there. Also, another thing, Cody, before we hop into this, something kind of like fantasy related a little bit. It's kind of a funny topic. I don't know if you saw this right before we went live. And Mr. Deeds bringing up the question, what do you think of Shefty taking AR as his fantasy quarterback? Now, to give context to this, folks, on ESPN right now, the ESPN Now crew is doing a live fantasy draft. That's what they do every time at this time of year. And the first quarterback taken off the board, Cody, was Anthony Richardson by the one and only Adam Schefter. So that fired up the crew on TV because, first of all, they did not expect Anthony Richardson to be the first quarterback taken. And even to be taken as early as he was at all. So that was pretty funny to see if you guys haven't already seen the video.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I love that. I mean, AR's definitely got that. He's got that fantasy upside, man. He's got the ability to throw and run, and we know.
Yeah, and it's because of his running ability. It's 100% because of the running ability. We saw in 10 quarters of football that dude had 4 rushing touchdowns. That's more rushing touchdowns than most quarterbacks will get through the entirety of the year. Yeah. I don't know many other quarterbacks that have that many rushing touchdowns all together in a season. And Anthony Richardson did that in his first 10 quarters as a rookie. So, I mean, again, if you're looking for a fantasy stud at quarterback, if Anthony Richardson remains healthy, Anthony Richardson's going to get you some points, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No doubt.
Good morning from Thailand. Wish we have a great season this year. Go Colts. Well, we appreciate you waking up with us this morning. We greatly appreciate it, man. But Cody, we got to talk about the first news, and we haven't quite gotten a chance to address it on the channel yet because it was something that was addressed after the practice was over today. And that is on the injury front. Tight end Jelani Woods will now receive a surgery on his turf toe that he sustained in the second preseason game. And they said that he is out indefinitely. So there is no timetable, and which likely means it will probably be at least a month before we even hear any kind of update at all on what his status would be. From what it sounds like is it could be multiple months before we see him, and if we even see him at all, Cody. So what was already a disappointing start to training camp and the preseason and all this other stuff as far as his production and action on the field, it might never have a chance to get off the ground again in 2024.
Very disappointing. I mean, Jelani Woods, the most disappointing player by far this whole offseason and this whole, preseason training camp, stuff like that. I mean, there was high expectations. And I know, like, he missed the entirety of last season. But now he's missing more time. He already was kind of, I think, Derek, on the roster bubble at this point. I mean, he already has 3 or 4 tight ends ahead of him. I just think it's not good news for Jelani Woods, to be real with you. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if the Colts decide to go in a different direction, because this guy hasn't seen the field in real game action, or will be, depending how long it could be a year and a half that he has, or a season and a half, if you want to go that way. season and a half that he hasn't been on the field. And I'm kind of in the idea and kind of in the mindset, Derek, that this is kind of how I viewed some of the other positions. As much as we love Jelani Woods, I kind of view it as like maybe we viewed Paris Campbell at one point. We viewed even Tyquan Lewis off the back-to-back injuries. It's like, yes, hopefully they can make a rebound, but you got to almost function like they're not even a part of the roster anymore. Like that's the unfortunate reality of it with Jelani Woods. But I think he's kind of getting to that point now where it's like he has the ability. He can't stay healthy, though. He can't stay healthy. He's had two now. He's missed extended time twice in 2 years. And it's just like you already have enough tight ends on your roster as it is. And so I'm kind of inclined to say, roll with those guys. And I'm not putting any of my eggs in the Jelani Woods basket. And, and even next year, I'm not afraid to draft a tight end high or sign a tight end or trade for a tight end. I just think it's to that point where I just can't rely on Jelani Woods anymore. And I hate that because we know he has ability, but he can't stay on the field. And obviously in practice and preseason, he wasn't showing what we thought he was going to show, which is it's a major bummer, just a big bummer.
Yeah. And now with this injury, question marks about whether or not he'll play this year at all. I mean, even if he comes back in 2-3 months, I mean, what is he coming back to?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's the ultimate question. You're going to be last on the depth chart anyway, because then you have to work your way back up. And we've already seen how bad this offseason has looked for Jelani Woods. So now the big question is, Cody, it's not whether or not, honestly, for me now, it's not even about the injury status. It's now at a point where is he even on this team at all when the cuts come around?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple options you could do. You can place him on the PUP or on IR and just leave him there. But the only thing is if you do that, though, you would have to cut somebody else in order to keep Jelani on the roster for a day to be able to place him on that and then be able to have to do that. So or otherwise the Colts just say, hey, we're going to cut you because you can't stay healthy. You're last on our depth chart. And we're just going to focus on the unit that we have because, I mean, remember, Cody, this wasn't a Shane Steichen pick. This wasn't a Shane Steichen pick. And we're seeing all these other guys with far less talent on the field because they're reliable, they catch the ball, they stay healthy, and they're on the field. So, I mean, it's now at a point where I start to question, like, is Jelani's journey done with Indianapolis before it even got started, really?
Yeah, I know. It's a big bummer, man. I know I keep saying that, but like the potential is there. Like we know that, Derek. Like we've seen that. But you're right. Like Jelani Woods in the Colts, like he was drafted with a previous regime, a previous coaching staff, and all that stuff. So I mean, Shane Steichen, frankly, doesn't owe him anything, and that's kind of how it has to be, unfortunately. And now the good thing for the Colts is that they have a lot of tight ends. So I know some people say, well, how will the Colts manage without Jelani Woods? I think they won't really miss him, to be real, because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't been on the field. They've had 3-4 tight ends ahead of him at this point. So it's definitely it sucks for Jelani, though, that he just can't stay healthy. But, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Or maybe the Colts decide you got one more chance, Jelani. You're under contract for another year. We'll keep you on the roster. And if you don't show anything, you're not going to come back, because it's hard to just cut a guy like that. It's hard to do that. So maybe there's a solution where you can have him on the roster in some capacity or place him on IR or do something. I don't know. But it's hard to just, with that talent, get rid of a guy like that, despite the fact that he has not done himself any favors. No question in my mind. So, yeah, it just sucks there. And I know there was a few other updates as well, Derek, when it comes to some of the injuries. Tanner Bortolini obviously left with a toe injury as well. He's going to miss some time. I don't really know what that means, but, he's going to miss a little bit of time.
You saw that he was missing time? I didn't see anything about that.
Yeah, so this is what Shane Steichen said. Tanner Bortolini will also miss some time. That's according
Okay.
to Mike Chappell.
Yeah. Okay. Also will miss time. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, that's the big old age question, right? Like how much time? We honestly won't even know at this point. You know, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. At least it's a backup offensive lineman, and we have a couple different options there already. Let's just hope that we'll just hope that no one else gets injured. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like the stream, guys, wherever you're watching. It helps the algorithm, helps it get out to more people. Please like the stream. Be sure to comment. Be sure to subscribe. All that great stuff. Okay, so on the good news, though, of the injuries front here, and I want to look this up, Cody, just to make sure that
Juju?
I am. So Nate Atkins reported this, saying Josh Downs is out here without a boot or a scooter. So remember late last week, when the joint practices were going on with the Cardinals, Colts wide receiver Josh Downs was going around the training camp with a scooter and the boot on. So no weight on that ankle at all. And now here we are, less than a week from then, and Josh Downs is out here without either.
That's
so I know I had some people in the chat asking about that. So that is great news. Certainly doesn't mean that Josh Downs is ready, but the fact that Josh Downs is now able to seemingly walk around with the ankle and put his normal weight on it and not have to worry about that, keeping it off the ground, or even with any kind of suppression help with the boot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a great sign, Cody, for, him being back here relatively soon.
Yes, no doubt. That's very encouraging to hear that, because you still have a little bit of time, Derek. I mean, today, August 20th, the Colts play September 8th. So, you do the math there, Derek, you still
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, you got like 2.5 weeks. So the fact that he's already to that point is encouraging. So obviously you don't want the Colts to rush it, because you can't screw around with ankle injuries. You just can't. It'll make it worse. But that's certainly very encouraging. On another injury front, Juju Brents got some good positive updates today. Shane Steichen said it's probably sooner than later for Juju Brents. So that's definitely a good thing, Derek, to see that Juju Brents is hopefully going to be back, in the next week or so. So that's definitely good. So it doesn't look like he'll really miss any time in the regular season, which is awesome. Obviously, we know, when he made a tackle, helmet slid down, left him bloody. He had some stitches and all that stuff. But that's definitely a good thing that seems like good news on some of the injury fronts, especially some of the players who will play, some big snaps for the Colts. No doubt. Like two of their more important players, I should say, on both offense and defense. Both of them seem to be trajecting in the right direction to be ready to go for week 1, which is great.
Absolutely. Did they actually say it was a high ankle sprain? Yes, they did. And that is one thing. High ankle sprains can be tricky because, with a high ankle sprain, with the tightness and the pain being more higher up on the leg, it's one of those things where it's a lot easier to be stationary with a high ankle sprain. Like, it doesn't take very long for you to start feeling well enough that you can actually stand. So, I might be, counteracting this whole argument that we just had. But, if you have a high ankle sprain, you're going to feel a lot less strain on your ankle standing up straight as you would with a lower ankle, because the lower on the ankle that you have the pain on, the more stress is going to be applied when that pressure goes on that foot. Now, the only thing is yes, he has less pain when he's standing, but the problem is when he tries to start doing other movements, when he starts trying to cut, when he starts trying to, push off the back of his foot, right? That's when you're going to start feeling it. So, it's one of those things that they obviously still need to be careful on. But like we said, still a positive sign that, less than a week ago, we saw him in a boot and a scooter, and now we don't see him in either.
Yeah, it's
so
good news. Good news.
It's good news all around. Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about Derek? I know you did a recap, so everybody go check out that recap that Derek dropped a little bit ago. Let's see where it's at right now. So if all of you go check that out, I think it'll be some good stuff there. But Derek, there was a lot of good stuff today from the Colts, especially on the defensive side of things. And we got to definitely talk about that because we know defense has had some issues today, or not today. The defense has had some issues that we've talked about in depth at this point. But Derek, the defense today, they had a day against Joe Burrow and the Bengals in that joint practice. I mean, we got to talk about that, man. I mean, multiple guys making big plays, guys that we need to step up making big plays, which is great. You obviously talk about the highlight, Jalen Jones, 2 interceptions of Joe Burrow on the day. Everybody's been talking about Jalen Jones. It feels like anytime we talk about him, it's always in a negative light. But Jalen Jones had a great day today. He was at number 1 corner, Derek, with obviously Juju Brent still out. So that's a great thing. You had, Tyquan Lewis and Kwity Paye combined for a sack today, which was definitely great as well. And so many other things. You had EJ Smead made a good tackle. Nick Cross had a nice batted ball away on the 3rd down. And then obviously Kwity Paye got another sack. So, I mean, there are guys that the Colts defense need to step it up, at least in today's practice against a team that we would all say is one of the better offenses in the NFL. Looked pretty good today, which is definitely encouraging. I mean, the fact that you do that to Joe Burrow, hold the Bengals scoreless in this practice, that's massive, man. That's a massive step.
Yeah. Starting off with the defense there. I mean, I will say this, it's kind of funny because we'll obviously talk about the offense later, but and I had to deal with this too on the round table, which was pissing me off early because we kind of talked about it before we even got into the actual discussions. But like the guys were telling me like, oh, we're seeing all these reports. The Colts offense was terrible. And the Bengals defense, they were chirping and chirping and chirping. They were talking all this mad, what? At your players, and y'all were just trash today because that's all anyone was talking about was that the Colts offense looked bad, which is kind of funny because, again, when you look at it from the opposite side of things, Joe Burrow completed a good amount of his passes today, but in the 11-on-11 stuff, he was not good. He was not good. They did not do anything that was substantially good. So, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, yeah, in 7-on-7s, and Green Ninja brings it up, but like 7-on-7s, like that is predestined for the offense to be in the driver's seat. Like in the 7-on-7s, Anthony Richardson had 2 touchdowns. Like Anthony Richardson still did good in the 7-on-7s. Like 7-on-7s is not real football. It's not real football. There's no pass rush. There's no pass rush. There's no real game going on. You're just standing there looking at your guys and you don't have to worry about getting hit. Like that's the whole point. 7-on-7 is just, it's nothing. It's practically meaningless. You're just running some plays, trying to get used to the route concepts. That's all you do in 7-on-7. So 7-on-7, okay, congrats. Burrow did something. But like you said, Cody, with all the red zone snaps they had and their 11-on-11s and their red zone snaps, they didn't score. They didn't score. We practically did the same. So like, I mean, it wasn't a great day offensively for either one of these teams. It sounded like both defenses were just going at each other. And I love that because the Colts defense needs to show something. And the fact that Jalen Jones picked off Burrow twice and a couple other times there would have been some sacks thrown in there as well. I mean, I couldn't be happier to hear that the Colts defense performed at a very great level. And so, I mean, yeah, I don't see the problem with it.
Yeah, I mentioned a couple other guys I didn't mention. Dio Dangbo had a nice day as well, apparently. So that's good news. And we kind of were not, you kind of forget about Dio sometimes when you talk about this defensive line rotation, but great to see him continue to have some good days. Jalen Carlisle, who we haven't talked about a lot. Obviously, he missed some time, Derek, a couple weeks there with some injuries, earlier on. It was great to see him out there. He missed about a week. He had a hip injury he was dealing with. But he right now, Derek, is projecting to slide into that number 3 linebacker spot. He had a couple plays today, according to what the some of the reporters saw. Obviously, he was a safety out of college, out of Missouri. But he had some plays in training camp and had some plays against Cincinnati, especially in the run game, which is definitely great. And Derek, I think he's a kid that we might see him take a decent role right away. I mean, he's got the size and the speed to be a good linebacker in this league. And I think if there's any position the Colts know pretty well and how to draft, it's linebacker. So that's definitely encouraging to hear that Jalen Carlisle right now is making some plays as that third linebacker. And that's kind of what we hoped. You hoped he would take that position and run with it and be that primary guy behind, Zaire and EJ Speed. So great to see there from Jalen Carlisle. It's great to see from Dio, some of these young guys just making plays in this game. And also great to see Ashton Doolin back today. He missed a little bit of time. He had a hamstring that he was dealing with. So great to see him back. You think he'll factor in potentially the special teams somewhere. So yeah, a lot of young guys making plays today. That was definitely a very positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we switch over to the offensive side. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not the greatest day for the offense, Cody. I mean, we don't really have to glance too much over it. I mean, are you buying any stock into being worried at the fact that, Anthony Richardson completed 50% of his passes and, just didn't have an all-around amazing performance today?
Look, it happened. Like the Colts, yeah, it's like they started off extremely poor from what we saw, but then they started to pick it up a little bit, right? They started to round back into shape from what we heard. Like it started off not pretty, but they started to get their mojo a little bit. So, I mean, you might have those days, so I'm not super worried, to be honest with you. Obviously we talk about you still miss Josh Downs, who was a major part of this offense. So I'm not super overly concerned right now. You'll have those days where you kind of look like crap. Like it happens, but how do you respond? And I like the way that the Colts kind of responded after that. So no, I'm not too overly concerned at this point.
Sounds good. As far as talking about the starters today, Shane Steichen also had an update as well.
Yep.
On the starters and their play time for this next game. And the Indianapolis Colts will be playing their starters for the majority of the first half. I think Steichen said a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
Some guys may get more, some guys may get less. I guess it really just all depends on what we're going to get into. But what do you think about that, Cody? Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing? The Colts are going net them out.
Oh, that's fine with me. You need your offense to just continue to get reps together, So I'm totally good with that. I mean, I probably would have played the starters at least a little bit in the second game, right? Because I think we talk about, like, these guys haven't had that much time together. I mean, let's be honest. Like, we know Taylor and JT and AR haven't had a lot of time, in actual game action. So I'm all for it, man. Let them play a half. I'm good with that. Just start right now. I mean, let's be honest. The Colts have only had 2 drives this entire preseason on the starting offense. So yes, give them an entire half, give them a quarter and a half. I don't care. Just let them kind of start to iron out maybe some of the wrinkles they have on the offensive defensive side of things. Like, I'm good with that. So I have no issues with that. I'm totally good with them playing a half.
Sounds good. Well, before we go any further, guys, into the stream, just want to say that this stream is once again powered by BetUS. Are you looking for a new book this football season? BetUS is the answer for you. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, and their new promotion, guys, they have a 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits, guys. How can you pass that up? They have fast and easy deposit withdrawal processes. They have 24/7 personalized service. You get live wagering on all major games. You have best betting variety in the business, and you have 10% back on your net losses twice a year, guys. Be sure to check out the BetUS link in the description of this live stream, or check out the pinned comment in the comment section below as well. Make sure you guys check that out. And I have to show you guys a couple of cool things here. Listen, you got to get ready for when the Colts bets start happening, guys. In week 1, we're going to be facing the Houston Texans, guys. And if you want to start this season off with a bang, you guys want to go over here and you guys want to maybe make a few bets here for the Indianapolis Colts, man. We gotta keep it up, man. We are so proud of our team. We know we're gonna win week 1. So of course we're gonna go over here and we're gonna pick the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. And if you think over or under the 48.5 mark for this game, which I think is actually a pretty good one, that could go either way. But if you're going either way, the odds are the same, guys. Place a $20 bet here, guys, and you can win over $60 on that bet, guys, and be able to make sure you guys keep winning your money there. Please make sure, guys, to check out BetUS today, guys. But Cody, it sounded like it was a very chippy practice today as well. Sounded like a couple times where, some things got heated and and the players, got into a couple of shoving matches today. So I love that.
Keep it. Yeah. Yep. Continue to get, as long as you're not getting these full on bull crap fight, I'm all right with a little bit of a chippiness. I'm good with that. Just don't make it a distraction. That's kind of where I stand with it. Like, I'm good with that, know? So I'm feeling pretty good, man.
All right. Well, so close to end this. Is there anything that you're looking for this next upcoming game? I don't know how much time the Bengals starters are going to play, if at all. I have no idea. But is there anything that you're looking forward to when it comes to this next game on Thursday, and any surprises you're trying to keep an eye out for?
The couple things I'm watching, obviously, is Anthony Richardson. How does he look? How does the starting offense look? Because he didn't look the greatest in the first game they had, in week number 1. So how do they look overall in this final preseason game, ahead of the regular season? And obviously, looking at, Anthony Richardson without his full arsenal of receivers. So you're not fully going to get a full picture quite yet. And again, it's preseason, so there's still going to be some vanilla in your offense. Like, there's no question. But, how does it look overall? Can the Colts go down and score, maybe do something encouraging right away? I'm looking forward to that. When it comes to the defensive side of things, I almost feel like the defense I'm looking a lot more at here in this game, because I'm looking at, obviously, Latu. I'm looking at this defensive line in particular, because we've seen, it feels like the entirety of the camps, training camp, joint practices, preseason, this defensive line, Derek, has been wreaking havoc on opposing offenses, right? They just continue to get after the quarterback. Derek, this is a group that is it's crazy, because they have some high-level guys, but they also have some young guys that are very exciting. Guys like Adetomiwa Adebawari, who has been phenomenal this preseason. They've had Isaiah Land, who I think's looked really good. We know the Colts are very high on him, even last year, and he has looked really good. And, guys like Dayo Adengbo, guys like, Tyquan Lewis, Quiddy Pay, obviously in a contract type of year, not really a contract type of year, but you know what I mean? A big year for him. He's got to prove that he belongs. And he's had a lot of sacks so far. And again, it's not game action, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I think for me, Derek, obviously the secondary is the one with Nick Cross and some of the young corners. But I'm kind of looking at some of those final roster spots. Who kind of fills those out, right? Because 53-man roster cuts are coming really quick, man. Really, really quick. And a couple of these players, they got to prove their worth, man. They got to prove their worth. And we talked about it a little bit today with some of the roster cuts. By the way, go check that out if you haven't already. But, does potentially Jason Bean push a guy like Sam Ehlinger? Maybe. I personally think Sam Ehlinger still has the job at this point, but, could it be a situation where Jason Bean has a really, really strong end to his preseason and maybe there's more of a conversation there? And then obviously you look at things like, one of the final wide receiver spots. I mean, Laquan Treadwell's had a really good camp and a really good preseason so far, Derek. So could he potentially push a guy like Ashton Doolin off the roster? I know Ashton Doolin does some stuff on special teams, but Alec Pierce has been doing some stuff on special teams. So who knows? Who knows at this point, especially with Josh Downs' kind of uncertainty, right, for week 1 right now. And then obviously tight end, that's a big question mark. How many do the Colts keep at tight end? And also I would say like swing tackle. That's one that has been kind of an issue this preseason. You obviously have Blake Freeland, who has not looked good. You have Matt Gonzalez, who's a rookie. So looking at some of those as well. There's just so much I could talk about, but those are some of the big ones I'm looking at. And obviously some of the rookies, Jalen Carlisle, as I mentioned as well, finally get some game action. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe Raekwon Davis plays in this game. We haven't really seen him. He just got activated yesterday. I was dealing with that high blood pressure. So there's so much, man. I could keep going on. I could talk about every player on this roster, to be real with you. But I think primarily for me, some of the biggest question marks with quarterback, with the young secondary, with the pass rush, and then some of the younger guys, and kind of how does the back end of the roster fill out?
Yeah, definitely super excited to see Raekwon Davis back today. Dealing with that blood pressure stuff. I mean, that stuff's certainly not easy. So yeah, definitely awesome to see him back. It'll be cool too to kind of see how the offense looks out there. I know that here's the thing. I'm definitely interested to see what the offense is going to look like, because one thing I know the roundtable guys are going to be looking at is I'm going to look at it and be like, how does Anthony Richardson look? That's going to be what they're looking at. The only thing that matters is Anthony Richardson do something that actually impresses them in any way, shape, or form. Now, I'll sit here and I'll say the same thing. Like, if he gets hurt or just has an absolutely abysmal performance, then I might be a little bit worried. But outside of that, he could have a subpar performance, and I really could not care. I really could not care. This is a preseason. This is just about getting your feet wet. It's just about trying to, be able to feel like as if you're going to be able to get things done. So I'm not entirely worried about what the whole team looks like in general. Again, this is just about being able to get guys out there that are on the verge of the roster bubble. And that's pretty much it. And Terry, it is in Cincy. It is in Cincy this time around.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Derek, I don't really trust any of their quarterback evaluation, because these are the same people that put Will Levis over Anthony Richardson. So, I mean, don't really trust that they know what they're looking for anyway, to be real with you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Derek, I think like the line right now for JT is like not even 100 yards against Houston, which is kind of bonkers to me. It's like 75 or 80. I'm like, you see what he did against Houston? Like, seriously, he was destroying them. You feel like he has
to always be shredding.
He always he hasn't had a game under under 90 yards or 80 some yards against Houston. Like, he's never just had 75. He's always had more against the Houston Texans, which is just crazy.
Yep, definitely. I mean, the Colts are primed and ready to have a great day when Jonathan Taylor, if Jonathan Taylor's eaten, then this whole team's going to be eaten. So,
yep, absolutely. So, yeah, man, I think that is it. Be sure, guys.
Pretty much everything for this one, isn't it?
Yeah, be sure, guys. We're going to be coming out, like you said, Derek, with kind of some players that we're watching, some things that we're watching for the final preseason game. Again, not on a Saturday or Sunday. It is on Thursday, so our timeline's kind of sped up a little bit. So we'll probably try to have that one out tomorrow, I'm thinking, Derek. Then obviously, well, I'm sure you'll be live streaming the game, Derek, and we'll get the recap up, and then we'll start talking about who impressed and final 53-man roster stuff, man.
Yep, absolutely. Well, again, shout out to BetUS for helping make this stream possible. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate all of your guys' support on the videos recently. Thank you so much for the streams as well. Be sure to be here, guys. Thursday evening, we will be live streaming the game once again. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on this. Thank you so much. And as always, go Colts.
This video is brought to you by BetUS